Salam Durut. Hello to everyone. My name is Suleiman and I'm a Persian language teacher. Here is my channel, Guftman, which is about Persian language, literature, and the language and the history of Persian language. Today we will discuss the difference between Farsi, Dari, and Tajiki. It's quite a wide question, has many details, but some short explanation I will try to give. So we have three names of one language: Farsi, Dari, and Tajiki. According to English language, we have to call Farsi as Persian, not Farsi, because Farsi is an endonym, and Persian is how we supposed to call it in English language. Same as Deutsch is called German by Germans, but we don't call it Deutsch or Espanol. We call it Spanish. So that I think is clear. Now, when it comes to Farsi, Dari, and Tajiki, discussions happens about it, and there are some misunderstandings about it. So what is Dari, and what is Farsi, and what is Tajiki? Tajiki, as a name of the language, is quite modern. It's not that classical, although the name of Tajik and Tajikon we see in classical poetry quite often, and that meaning is basically the Persian Muslims, because according to one of the most common explanation of the name Tajik is that Persians that converted to Islam were called by their Zoroastrian Iranians as Tajik, so which is coming from Tazi. Tazi was a name of Arab tribe, and now if you converted to Arab religion or religion of Arabs, you will be called as Tazik, later became Tajik. So during the Safavid era, Persian speaking Muslims in Iran would be called Tajik by Turks. So Kızılbaş and other tribes would call them Tajik. And the language, the name of Tajik or Tajiki as a language is quite modern. Probably it became in 20th century more common. Before that, it wasn't that popular or common for Central Asia or other parts of Persian speaking. And Tajiki, who calls their language Tajiki? So basically in Tajikistan and part of Uzbekistan, Persian speakers call their languages Tajiki. Dari, as we said, it's more common for Afghanistan now, the last 60 years, and Farsi is called the Iranians, the people of Iran, they call their language Farsi, although Farsi is not the only language in Iran. There are other many languages, and just half of population consider Farsi as their mother tongue. So we have now three names and of the same language, and the differences between these languages when it comes to literature, when it comes to official language and oral especially, are not significant. They are just more about phonetics, about pronunciation, but grammatically they are 99% the same, or 100%. The main difference could be in the pronunciation. The Iranian Farsi is more modernized, where Afghanistan Dari and Tajiki saved, preserved some classical pronunciation, more authentic pronunciation. That's the main difference. And same about lexic, although very frequently Tajiks and Afghans say that our language contains less Arabic lexic, which is to some extent true, but not very different in terms of percentage. According to one of Tajik researcher, the Tajik language or Farsi of Tajikistan contains 50% of Arabic lexic, where Iranian Farsi contains something like 63%. But this is about general vocabulary, about general words that not everybody and not on daily basis people use. They use maybe 10% of whole vocabulary that exists. So again, the percentage of Arabic words depends on the topic, depends on person, his profession, his education, and so on. But anyways, the Persian language, the Persian of Iran, is more westernized in terms of it has more English and French borrowing words, and also Arabic words more than the other two. And it has even grammatically now in spoken version some English influence. For instance, they say, Iranians say روز خوبی داشته باشید. روز خوبی داشته باشید basically is a copy of English phrase have a nice day. Or they say دوست دارم نوشابه بخرم. دوست داشتن basically verb means to love. So this phrase could be translated as I would love some drink, to have some drink, which is also very English, and so on. So many other such examples. But that's the spoken version. So spoken versions of Iranian Farsi and Persian or Afghan Dari or Tajiki are different because they're all coming from different dialects and different traditions. That's why we don't say that spoken versions are 100% same. No, they're different. And another big significant difference between these three versions of Farsi is the alphabet. The Tajiki during Soviet era started using for Tajiki language Cyrillic alphabet, and up till now in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, Tajik speakers use this alphabet, and they hardly can understand or read the Persian script, which is based on Arabic. So very few, maybe less than 1% of population can really read and write in that script. So mostly it's Cyrillic, where Afghan Dari and Iranian Farsi have the same alphabet, and they can easily understand the texts from Afghanistan and vice versa. So there is no big differences between written versions of Afghanistan and Iran. But when Tajikistan, people cannot really understand that. For instance, if Afghan person or Iranian person come to Tajikistan, he cannot really read writings like the names of places and so many things. And if he hears, yeah, can understand. But when he see, he cannot understand really. And the same, if Tajik person come to Afghanistan or Iran, he will have a hard time understanding what is written on many places because he only can orally communicate with the Persian speakers. But the another two names as Dari and Parsi or Farsi, we see it in very early classical poetry, in the Ferdowsi's poetry, and they come as a synonyms. So Dari basically was the name of Persian language, of new Persian language, that was different from Pahlavi. This is how Muslims differentiated from Pahlavi. Pahlavi was a language of Sasanian era. Although Pahlavi at some extent could be a mistake, because during Sasanian era they would call their language as Parsik. And Pahlavi was a script, the name of the script that they used. But also Pahlavi could be the synonym of Parsi, because Pahlavi is derived from Parthawa. Parthawa is a name of northern Iranian group of which is famous for Ashkanian or Arshakid dynasty that ruled Iran around 5 centuries. And later, from after Islam, Pahlavi became the name of Middle Persian or Persian, which was common during Sasanian era. And Dari became new language, Farsi Dari or just Dari, the language of Samanids, the language of new classical literature. And as per Dari, some scholars, Ibn Muqaffa for instance, says that Dari is a language of capital. By capital he means Ctesiphon, the capital of Sasanian dynasty. And also he says that this language Dari is full of Eastern words, the words from Balkh and Bukhara. So basically from Khorasan and Mawra Nakhr. From that we can understand that Dari was could be also common at the late period of Sasanian dynasty, Sasanian rule. So during whole classical period, Dari was used as a synonym of Persian or Farsi until 20th century. In the second half of 12th century, in Afghanistan, government decided to call their language as Dari. It happened in 1964. So that was kind of political decision to differentiate the language from Farsi, from Iranian Farsi. And the last 60 years, Afghans call their language Dari, less Farsi. They would call their language Dari. But Farsi became now the official name of Iran, official language of Iranian Farsi. Although, same as Tajiki or Dari of Afghanistan, it was also called Farsi. So Farsi is, or Parsi, is the name of the language which was spread from Chinese Turkestan up to Istanbul and Balkans, including Central Asia, Afghanistan and Iran.